Andrew, you look great, but the snow's not working for me. Let's try something else. That's better. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Kyle Watts. So welcome back to the channel. Today we left boring Minnesota, which is all just snowy and white, and we came to this gorgeous town of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So we're going to actually test out the Sony 18-105 lens, which is a 27-157 full frame equivalent. We're just going to kind of put this thing through its paces and just see how good it looks. All right, so some of the tests we're going to do with the different focal lengths on this lens, see if you can vlog with it, see how good photos look, just see how generally sharp and good looking this lens can be. This is definitely one of the lenses that sits on my camera the most. I generally use this one a lot because it does have lots of versatility. It is an f4, so it doesn't go down as low in low light, but it definitely does look good in daylight because you're probably bringing up your f-stop anyways to that 4 to 5 range just to get the lighting like this. Otherwise you will be using a different ND filter. Right now I am currently using the Peter McKinnon 2 to 5 ND filter on here. So one of the things I like about this lens is that it has a constant f4 aperture, or basically constant aperture in general. Whatever you set it to, even if you zoom in, it's not going to change the aperture, which is pretty much key if you're trying to zoom on a lens while you're filming, because you don't want the aperture to change and have your lighting completely change. One of the other big features that I really like about this lens is that the zoom stays internal inside of the lens. Nothing extends out of the lens. So if you're flying this thing on a gimbal, this is absolutely the lens you want because it does not shift weight. You won't have to rebalance it. It's pretty much one of the only Sony lenses that does stay internal that I'm aware of. Now this lens isn't one of the sharpest lenses that Sony makes, but honestly to me I think it's one of my favorite lenses because it's not sharp, but it's actually smooth, and it kind of gives more of a, in my opinion, a little bit of a cinematic look to it. It's I don't know, maybe it has a slight like diffused look to it, but to me it just has kind of this cool look that you can't get on a lot of the other Sony cameras, but it does still look sharp, and I do think it still looks like a great lens to have. Now if you're looking for the bokeh on this lens, you pretty much will have to start zooming in on it a little bit. Once you start zooming in on this lens, if you get an object in your foreground, bokeh will be really good looking and it'll completely blur your background. Earlier today we went out to the SPCA for Puerto Vallarta. We hung out with rescue puppies, and I just kept on using the lens to zoom in on some shots, just trying to test the bokeh on it. Otherwise just trying to test the general stability of the lens itself. I'm using an A6400, so this camera is not stabilized. So you do need to have a lens like this that is stabilized, which is a big help. At its widest, it's an 18mm. Currently we're using this lens. So this shows you what you can use with as a vlog lens. I am using a Joby GorillaPod, so it is a little bit of ways for me if I'm hand-holding it. This is just me holding my hand underneath the lens, so it's definitely a vloggable lens, and it is stabilized, so it will do better than something like a Sigma 16, although it does give a very different look than a Sigma 16, because it's not as sharp and the bokeh is not as harsh in the background. So one thing when you're using this lens for traveling, I do like it because it's got a lot of versatility. You can punch way in on stuff, even if you're far away, which you do with the zoom lens, and this thing does a pretty good job at that. When you're traveling, a lot of times you like to do photos and videos of food. One thing that I don't like about this lens is that it does have a 1.5 foot minimum focus length, so you can only get about a foot and a half away from an object before it'll get in focus. So sometimes when you're doing those food shots, you want to get like right on the food, and this is definitely not the lens for that. Although if you want to get back a little ways and zoom in on it, that'll help a little bit. If you're looking for doing food shoots, something like the Sigma 16 is probably your better choice. Now some of the reasons why you would want to have this lens instead of the kit lens for the A6400 or 6500 is that the kit lens, when you zoom in, changes aperture. It starts at 3.5, and I think it goes up to, I'm not even sure what it goes up to, but when you zoom in, unless you're in auto, it will darken on you, which is not what you want to have. One of the pros of the kit lens is it does have a very small profile. It does make the camera quite a bit smaller and lighter. The Sony 18-105 lens does weigh 1 pound, and it does stick forward quite a ways on front of your camera. It's about a 6-7 inch long lens, so it does add some weight to your setup. If I was going to tell you what lens I'd rather get on the kit lens or the 18-105, there's no question the 18-105 is the lens I'm putting on my camera. It's a better lens, it has a better look, It has a consistent f-stop, and it just has a slightly dreamier look to it than that kit lens. Not to say that the kit lens is a bad lens, it isn't, but in my opinion, I would much rather have the 18-105, even if it's 2 millimeters closer, zoomed in at its minimum. As far as using this lens at nighttime, it is something that you would have to bring up your ISO quite a bit. It'll probably get a little grainy. This is not the greatest nighttime lens, as it is an f4, and most f4 lenses just will not work that well at night. So last night during sunset, we took out the lens and we wanted to kind of see what it would look like, see how noisy it would get. I did shoot some in 120, so those might be a little noisier than the 4K, but let's just see what they look like. So we're going to go into the city now, and we're going to go see if we can do some street photography with this lens, see how well it does with that. Beautiful part about that is we have a lot of different options for focal range. I'll probably be shooting a lot at about a 50 millimeter because I do like the look of that too. Sun has now set. We're in f4 aperture. I'm at about ISO 500. This is still the light that we have, so at this point the lens is still doing pretty good. We still have quite a bit of light coming in. I imagine in the next few minutes this lens is going to become kind of noisy and or unusable. Okay guys, so that's what the Sony 18-105 lens looks like. If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment down below. And as always, while you're down there, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any other gear reviews, film tutorials, and other vlogs. As always, catch you on the next one. Later.